Hi everyone, we are doing a reading on Elon and Trump. So we've got the US president and the world's richest man, or one of the world's richest man, fighting like two brothers or high school besties that have had a fallout. So I did predict this in 2024 that in 2025 they'd have a fallout. The first thing, I'm going to pull cards to see if it's true or if it's a show. Well, the first thing, or if there's any element of it that's a show, there's a couple of sections to this, because there's also something that I've been going on about, that I believe the White Hats are happy that this is happening and they will be assisting the exposure of this. So obviously there's two chiefs. There can't be two chiefs. Two very dominant power control type individuals. And I think some might have felt like it wouldn't have lasted this long. Now you've also got, when I tap into Elon, he's like do you know someone who's like that? He's like, we need to get this out, because then he's already like 5 steps ahead on 5 new initiatives. And a lot of people probably not happy the pace of changes and some of the changes that Trump has actually done. So, you know, Trump is like, we need to pace ourselves a little bit. And Elon's like, that pees him off, because his mind is so restless. He's so ahead of everything. And it can be overwhelming for him as well. And Elon feels really, really, this is my opinion, my channeling opinion, it's not fact, right? Betrayed, because he feels like no one really, you know, spoke for Trump like he did at the election time. He put himself really out there. And something else I'm getting just download is that I don't think Elon saw how much of his businesses were supported maybe from democratic parties. I say that so that it doesn't, you know, these readings are always sensitive words, etc. So they do need your support and comments. And maybe government contracts of when the Democrat Party was in place. I'm getting that. I don't know if it's true, if it's not true. So that would have already been a blow without anything he's going to blame Trump for. The other thing is that he has faced some losses and he's had to answer to some scrutiny on faces of losses. Well, the people that are scrutinizing him or interviewing him about these losses are actually trying to just be like, ha ha ha, look, you've lost this, la la la. You know, they're just like, because it's more from trying to tell someone who is the richest man, who has envy on him for those sort of stuff. And so it's all got a bit too much for Elon. Now, at the same time, I don't think he thought that Trump would stop any contracts or promises that he had made with him. And I think Duck has stalled on some of these agreements or promises because of the time frame, but also he feels like suddenly going in on something is going to be detrimental, I get that word, to the public and the backlash from the public, but mainly to the public, thinking of the public. So I don't know if these contracts or promises directly tied in with the businesses of Elon. That's some of the stuff that I was getting, and I did make notes actually, because I was like, what is this show, you know? And I haven't seen all the tweets. How it came to light was, I understand that Elon posted the reason why the epi list is not coming out, or the files, is because DT is in the files. Now, I do want to point something out, because I think some people will be, not you guys, I just mean even broadcasters, will be confusing and not differentiating between files and list. Okay, so there is a difference between the files and the list, and we have to be aware of that. Do I feel that Duck has done underage child SA or anything like that? I don't think so. Could he be in the files for trying to hide someone else in this, or wavering, or just being present, or being the president, or something like that? Yeah, possibly. I've already said that this list is being held back. The list and the details is being held back because of the people that are involved, and I feel like P Diddy's trial has a lot of those people, and I think if Diddy wanted, he could really expose all those people. The problem with that, though, I think he will be X'd if he does that. I'm not saying that he's been threatened, but it's like there's already a can of worms with Diddy that this, like, it would open a can of worms of investigations that they wouldn't be able to handle, to go into, because it would be very complex, and the names that are involved. So yeah, very complex. The other thing is, I haven't done the Diddy reading after the week 2 trial, because I was hoping 3rd week and 4th week would bump up. I haven't watched week 3 and 4, but at week 3, I think it was showing that an assistant was on. So I thought that this is really still my week 2 predictions and themes, and how it needs to ramp up is still very valid. So I might start tapping in and do another reading on that. I do have some basic notes, but I didn't feel it was enough to do a reading. So then I get that the other thing that I got was, like, when I was thinking about this tweet, I mean, imagine being in a bit of a bro fight of power control, and you own a social media platform where this power control back and forth is happening, and you tweet on there. That is a big statement of power that some of us just might not have even thought of. But imagine that, because Duck will need to take to that platform to respond, right? But ultimately you're responding and using that person's platform and bringing attention to that person's platform. The other thing I got is the white hatters are happy for this to go on and bring it at the forefront of searches or suggestions, because it's the crumbling of all these people that you've idolized, believed in, are nothing more than just like you and me, humans. And look at what's happening. So no more idolizing all these people that you think could save your life, change the way you're living, etc. There's no more of that, and the white hatters are very much involved in that. So let's see, firstly, because he was seen supported Elon a black eye at the Oval Office when Trump announced this. Was this really from his child, or was it something else? Now, I presume a lot of people have said Elon was on drugs at that. I said the word. Drugs. Thanks, YouTube. Not that you're supporting the channel anyway, so middle finger. It wasn't his child. I get that in reverse. It wasn't his child. I do get that. I think he's got in a fight with someone. I asked if it was self-inflicted. It wasn't. But what I do get is that I think he was acting a bit inappropriate, and I don't mean he was molesting someone or something. But I feel like he could have been having words with someone, and he might have been taking a bit of drugs, you know, feeling high, so he's acted that way. I feel like this person could be a Libra sign. And let's just check something. And something took a turn. It could have been a female, by the way. Because I do get that. I get the Queen of Cups. And I get the Empress energy that was not in her proper energy. So I don't know if his I think there might have been a bit of a row or something. Let's just check something. It's likely to have been at home. Okay, it is likely to have been at home. So maybe it was an accident at home. I think he might have been rowing, but there's a female here. There's a heavy Libra sign. It wasn't his child. I think he was using harsh words, and something needs to be brought into balance. So whether he banged into something, he was pushed into something, that's what I get there. So that's not what he said. So obviously May 3rd, Elon dropped his discontent about a announced big bill. I don't know what that is. I've just taken notes. And that's when the exchange between them happened. And I've put like my notes of channeling the energy that he feels he was very supportive of Trump, and he feels very deeply betrayed. I feel Trump feels very deeply betrayed, and I feel like Trump feels like this, he's lost his effing mind. Like he just needs to cool it a little bit. And I think with Elon, the way to do this is just to allow him to simmer, because I think he's like a spark that, because he's so overwhelmed, and I think if he does use his rugs, I haven't tapped into that, it's because he gets so overwhelmed he can't sleep, to the point where he will work on something, and he's got multiple things on the go. So I think I heard that he expressed, if not, it's definitely a prediction I put about a space with him. But I this is gonna continue for some time, and we're going to see a ramp up of conflicts between now and the end of July. You know, there's going to be people that are just wanting to fight with themselves on the beach. But I think, you know, look at the 11th, I'd say 9th to the 13th, there's going to be an exposure. And if it's not in this case, it's something major, someone we know. I think war zones as well are going to be very sensitive during this period that I'm talking about, which is June into the end of July. I do get that Elon with the other stuff, like I get that they were in a meeting as well, and this might not have been when it happened, but Elon wanted to, you know, really roll something out, get something out there, and Duck was like, just flow a bit, like just let's take the momentum. And I think he might have also was his role dodge. I think he might have rattled some of the other admin that are there, so when they're sat with the president, etc. I do think he does take rugs, like I said, because of his mind. And I feel it in his energy. I was going to do a reading of him at the Oval Office because I think some of that was also show. Like, I'm bored. I'm just like so fidgety. And a part of that is him. So jittery and fidgety. So I've asked, does he take ketamine? Okay. The cards are saying, not telling me that he takes ketamine, but he definitely does take rugs. Okay. So that's something I wanted to ask. But I do think he also takes it because, you know, when your mind is so overwhelmed and you can also get a bit depressed, can't you? So I think what he takes also helps him with that. He's always on the go, and it can be for others it can be quite hasty, although it's not hasty. And I get that there was a meeting where Duck said to him, can you leave for a moment? Because he felt like he was really just like, okay, let's get this out, let's do this, let's do that. Really stuck on a bill or a contract that he wanted. And I think others were feeling a bit uncomfortable with his energy, maybe causing angst or tension. And I don't think Elon liked that from what I'm feeling. And Elon already felt like his businesses took a big hit. He also feels like if it wasn't for him, Duck had no one voicing for him, and Duck would not have won. He felt like it would still remain at, like, is it 49-50 split? And he threw himself in the deep end to do that. And that, you know, his businesses have taken a hit. And even public now. Yeah, I just heard Duck saying, just, you know, let's wait it out a little bit. And there is something about being peed about space contracts, something about that. So I don't know if you also wanted to get that out. So did Duck actually stop any of the promises or not go through the promises? Show me. One more card. Yeah, so I get that, like, there was a lot of new things, initiatives to be introduced, okay? And they were having conflict. And I think the conflict was around all the elements of the projects. And that's why the choice and the agreement between them had to be stalled just a little bit here. You know, we had to really look at what would work for the public. And a bit of an apology there from Duck. Look, a bit of apology from Duck. Okay. But Elon were really held on to you know, what he felt he was promised and what should happen. Duck is like, we need to look at a bit of a long-term strategy. So and there's finance implications in this, okay, that could cause a bigger tower moment than there already is. So that is what I get there with that. Now I was told that there was an EV mandate. I don't know what that is, if someone can tell me. Something about an EV mandate. Let me just read cards on that because, or tap in. EV, what could EV be? I feel as well we're going to hear from someone in the admin. If something doesn't go their way, I think they're going to speak up because they feel like it's the right time. You know, so, do you know when you're in a classroom and someone speaks up and they're like, the teacher said this, and then normally you'd be like, I can't believe they said that, etc. And then you're like, oh, that teacher was shit to me today. They were awful. You know, telling me to be quiet or whatever. And so what you do is you feel a bit able to be a bit more vocal because suddenly there's one point against the teacher because that other student that spoke. And I feel like there's someone in the admin feeling that that could say something, and I get it's really sour grapes, so I don't know who that is. I'll pull cards on JD Vance if I remember, but EV mandate, show me what we're dealing with this. It's got some it had some hidden elements to it. It's not gone through, okay? It's something that I think Elon really looked forward to, and bottom of the deck, it's not got, it didn't go through. So either it was ended or it was cut. And I think he felt it was a promise. And I think he felt really, I feel again, angered and betrayed. Like, I feel really angered by this EV. Please tell me what this EV is. I've got no idea what it is. I feel like Trump feels like he was very clear with his promises. And even I get like, I was even very clear and honest at my rallies on what we would do. So he feels like he didn't deceive him in any way or lead him on. I also get from Duck, which I noted here, is that he feels like he spoke for South Africa because of Elon. So I don't know what he said there, but he had spoken up for South Africa or about South Africa, maybe about I don't know, about fraud or crimes or something. And he did it because of Elon being from there, like to be supportive. Otherwise, he really had nothing, no need to bring up South Africa. So I don't know what that's about, but I do get that coming through to me. And I've got it here as well that I'd said, it says, I also backed out South Africa and it's never heard of for someone to do that. I get that Elon needs to cool down a little bit to apprehend or comprehend exactly what he's doing. I do get at the beginning of July, he's going to have some kind of good breakthrough. With Duck, if you go to my June predictions and the last readings, I said around this time, and we're bang on time, and I said in June certain dates as well, are going to be very challenging for Duck, and he's going to make a decision. We'll go to that read. I don't want to repeat myself, but it was there. So we did say that, and I think it's going to remain challenging for Doc. This is not easy. I do feel like he's going to have some challenges along the way. Obviously, this also brings up the demo party being able to speak. So although this could be very stressful and challenging for Elon, I think for Duck it's a bit more. I don't think that in the now that they were gonna be No, it was definitely no element of this was actually a show. It was very much dissatisfaction. I get two parties not really focusing properly, um, and a challenging decision actually around having to do this for Duck. Um, there is someone who's been a bit sneaky around this, but I definitely think it needs to play out. It's going to get crazy for a little bit, but it will calm down. And like I said, there's no more idolizing leaders or anyone, um, whether it's Elon or Trump or another. They're exactly the same as us, and that's what the white hatters are. And I shouldn't say that word, but um, wanting by bringing it up to the full focus. If you search or if you don't search, as a suggestion, and even for media to really cover it. I don't feel the energy is favoring Duck right now, although I do feel like a lot of people like Elon's just high on rugs, etc. Um, there is obviously some reputation damage there for Elon, but I do see a total breakaway for now. In the future, they might come together. Not now, not near future. They might come together because they have common goals, especially business and projects. And maybe Elon, sees things from a different aspect. Um, but there is an unexpected gain for him around the 1st of July. Um, let's look at JD Vance. How is he feeling with all this? He feels like a massive tower's shaken up. He's holding on. I feel like he feels quite stressed here. He feels, and he's holding on. This is the King of Swords. He's trying to speak his truth, but he sees some good out of this. And I feel like he sees some personal gain out of this, but he is stressed. He feels like it was quite a sudden. Interesting. I feel like the energy around him, he is triggered by this energy, and a bit of stress. I also want to say, don't get too distracted with this, because I feel like AI is in a very, we're going to be moving fast with AI. So whether it's bills, databases, contracts, um, or other things, it needs our attention. And AI was just one example. So I'm not saying that this was a distraction. I don't believe it was. We had it in our predictions or my prediction. But I do think that don't, whatever comes to distract us, we do need to be careful. And also be grounded, because there could also be mind control that happens between certain narratives, to really make this prosperous, a big twisted um, story with more things taking out a context or different meanings on what could be tweeted. Now that Elon has said about epiphiles, they have to do some kind of show of investigation. I don't know how they're going to handle that. Yeah, Trump is feeling deeply betrayed. He seems to be getting some. It's not like he feels um, I feel like there's a Aries, Leo or Sag. And it's advanced, that's a Leo. It could be a female. I don't know in his cabinet or not. That he's not getting sound advice from, but is keeping his spirits up, or like being a positive energy around him. Let's see their energy right now. As I've recorded this, it's the 8th of June. I don't know what's been tweeted. I really don't. We've got someone who's decided to take the wiser road, okay, to take a step back a little bit, to really focus on just being in themselves, connecting to the souls, to themselves, maybe to be at home. Someone's actually around, could be in their home city or homeland. Duck feels like it's a challenge. He doesn't feel in his best element. He could be the one that's taking the wiser road. We get, there's the Two of Cups, and we get the Eight of Pentacles, okay? There is a contract, there is a bill that seems to be taking the attention or the focus, or needing focus, and this could be relating to what I said, for us not to get too caught up in this, where we don't focus on other stuff that's happening that could be more important to us. And then we do get that there's a definite end to their okay, Two of Cups. I do get that someone's being very sneaky in the energy. There's a hidden tactic, a hidden energy. And again, we get an Aries, Leo, Sag in this. So, and there could be someone who decides to do some traveling or has a project abroad. But there is someone who comes into, there's some money gain here. Okay. So that's what I have on this one. Those of you that are following it very closely, maybe you can give me some idea on what we've got. Okay, everyone. So I hope you have a beautiful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world and whenever you see this. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe to support the channel. And you can like and you can comment as well. Someone let me know what DV means, please. Take care and bye.